So if you're doing everything right and still stuck, it's not your effort that's the problem. It's the identity you're still living from. Because if you keep trying to change your body while being loyal to the version of you that created the weight in the first place, you're always going to sabotage the result. I'm Ben Shell, health and fitness life coach, and I help women obliterate subconscious blocks that have kept them stuck so they can boldly step into a new identity, radically recreate themselves, and transform their bodies and lives in 90 days or less. I just worked with an amazing woman who, just like you, probably felt, she was doing everything right. No matter what she did, the weight wouldn't come off though. She was 42, she had 3 kids, corporate job. She was driven as hell. She followed every single plan, read every book, meal prep like a machine. But every time she lost 10 pounds, 15 pounds, she gained it back. And she was furious with herself. She thought that she lacked willpower, but that wasn't the truth. The truth is, every time her body started to change, her identity didn't. She still saw herself as the woman who struggled with food, the woman who always started over, the woman who can't trust herself. So every time she tried to change her body, her subconscious just completely just pulled her back because it was loyal to who she used to be. And that version of her could never make weight loss a real reality. So here's the part that nobody else teaches you. You don't just need a new plan, you need a new story. Because every belief, every behavior, every choice you make flows from the identity that you're loyal to. If deep down you believe that you're the fat friend, the emotional eater, the one who always quits, then you're always going to find a way every single time to recreate that outcome. Not because you're broken, but because your brain is wired to stay familiar. It's safer to stay in pain that you recognize than to risk becoming someone that you've never seen. That's why you can count your macros, do the workout, track the steps, and still find yourself sabotaging at night, still binging after a bad day, still forgetting to stay on track when the moment, things start to go well. Because fat loss isn't just about what you do, it's about who you believe that you are. And if that internal identity hasn't shifted, you will always circle back to the weight. So let's talk about how you can actually start shifting that identity today, how to rewire your internal story so your external results can finally match the effort that you're giving. So first thing you want to do is you want to unmask the old identity. Start by asking yourself some serious questions. Start by asking, who am I when no one's watching? What do you believe about yourself when the diet fails? What's the story you always seem to fall back into? And I mean, write these questions out, like literally, and like write them out and ask yourself, you know, and see what you come up with. Am I the woman who can't lose weight? Is that what you tell yourself? I always push it up to next Monday. I'm not disciplined enough. I just love food too much. Ask yourself, who taught me that? Where did I learn it? And now here's a big one. Who benefits from me hiding behind this weight and staying small? This is the healing start by pulling the lie that you tell yourself into the light. Secondly, you want to interrupt the sabotage loop because self-sabotage happens in a loop. First there's a trigger, then a thought, then a feeling, and then an action. Then you have a result and reinforcement. You need to start interrupting that loop early, at the trigger or the thought level. For example, you feel stressed after work, your old identity says food will make me feel better. Now insert a new pattern. You pause, you breathe. You say, I'm no longer the woman who runs to food when she feels powerless. I'm the woman who sits with discomfort, analyzes the root of where it's coming from, and rises anyway. In the beginning, you're not going to believe it when you tell yourself that, but that's okay. Your brain listens to repetition more than logic. Say it until it becomes true. Say it until you actually start pausing and asking yourself, what am I really feeling right now? What caused me to want to binge on food that I know is going to add to my weight problem? Then you want to start really rebuilding the internal image. Visualize daily who you're becoming. See her clearly. What does she eat? How does she walk into a room? How does she respond to stress? What boundaries does she have? What does she wear? What decision does she make on a Tuesday night when no one's watching? Then act from her. Act from that position like you're already there. Not from where you are now, but from where you're going. Because when your choices match your future, your present starts to shift fast. Next, you want to create a ruthless environment. You don't rise in toxic soil. If the environment is filled with triggers, junk food, negative people, chaotic routines, zero boundaries, up late, at midnight scrolling, you're fighting a losing battle. You don't need more willpower, you need better structure, a clear schedule and routine, prepped meals, a support system, a bedtime that you actually honor, accountability, getting those triggers removed. Learn to say no more often. Get serious about who you let influence your energy. The new identity needs consistent reinforcement. That means, shaping your environment to mirror who you're becoming, not the version of you who created the weight problem in the beginning. Identity change is not a one-time decision either. It's built on daily reps, reps of choosing a better thought, reps of holding a boundary, reps of staying aligned with who you said you're becoming, even when it's hard. Every aligned choice is one more vote for the new you and one less vote for the woman who used to give up. You've been told to change your body first and everything will fall into place. Life will become beautiful, but that's backwards. You don't get to become a confident, beautiful woman once you lose weight. No, you lose the weight when you stop living like the woman who was never allowed to have it. You have to stop trying to improve her and just bury her. You have to rise as someone new, someone who chooses power over punishment, who eats like she respects herself, who trains like she's building a future, who, rests without guilt, who chooses alignment over approval. This is why so many women fail because they're trying to change from the inside of a cage. But transformation isn't about adjusting your behavior, it's about rewriting your identity. If you want results that stick, you don't just need discipline, you need a freaking resurrection. Burn the old story and become the woman that the fat was never safe on. So if you've been stuck in the loop, doing everything right, but always circling back to, the weight, it's not the plan that's broken. It's the version that you're still living from. And if you're finally ready to rewrite that story and build the body and the life that you actually, deserve and that matches your potential, drop that fire emoji in the comments or, send me a message directly. We'll set up a free discovery call to map out exactly what's keeping you stuck, what identity you need to let go of, and how to create permanent transformation from the inside out. This has been Shaw. I don't just coach, I awaken universes in women who forgot they were forged from divinity and destined to rise.